Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jose from Southern Life. I created a map of recent arrests in Lee County, Florida. And let me tell you that the results were really shocking to me. So, we looked at 100 arrests within the last week, and Lee County Sheriff's Office actually does something pretty cool where they show you the actual address of people who got arrested. So, with that information, I created a map showing the exact address of everybody that was arrested. The vast majority of these people were DUI or battery arrest. There's also a few out of state warrants, which is typical for this area. There were many homeless people that don't have their address. Therefore, even though we looked at 100 arrests, there's probably like 70 people actually pinned on this map. Some people from Miami, some people from Naples, a few people from Venice, a few people from other states. Means that out of the 100 people, not everybody actually lives in Lee County, Florida. The good thing is, we're going to be looking at where people actually live. So these are the home address of the people being arrested, which is a great way to see what a neighborhood is like if a lot of people in your neighborhood are being arrested, because many times when people are arrested, they're not arrested in the neighborhood where they live. So this is definitely a very unique perspective. But let's focus on Cape Coral real quick. You'll notice that most of the arrests are around the central part of the city. There's very few arrests in the southern part of the city, so it seems like this area up here by Burnt Store had no arrests, at least of the 100 people we looked at. Very few arrests in the northwest side. The whole west side of Cape Coral seemed to have very few arrests. There were 2 arrests on the southwest side, and they were both for the same exact thing, improper use of a concealed. A lot of people in Florida think that they can do whatever they want with their concealed, and they'll be mistaken to know that there's a lot of rules and regulations. You're not supposed to use it unless it's a life-threatening situation. Under most circumstances, you cannot use your concealed, and for some reason, in this neighborhood of Southwest Cape Coral, a lot of people don't understand exactly how they can or cannot use their concealed. But we're going to look at these houses. These are actually really nice houses. And many of the people were surprising to me, living in extraordinarily nice neighborhoods. As you can see here, this person lives pretty much in a very fancy suburban part of Cape Coral. And the other person, a young person as well, who committed the same crime. Again, these houses have golf access, palm trees in the front, beautiful new houses. You can see a lot of pools. You can see that this is a very affluent area. And it was very shocking during this experiment how many people living in really nice neighborhoods ended up getting arrested. As you can see here, this is a gated community with brand new homes, pools, lakes, and a lot of people that are arrested in Southwest Florida are actually just very suburban people. They're not all people in the hood. Even I had the misconception that the vast majority of people being arrested were living in poor neighborhoods. And while there's a few neighborhoods that do have a grouping of people being arrested in them, we'll go through that later on in the video, it did surprise me how many people were living in, well, pretty much gated communities. So the notion that living in a gated community, you're not going to have criminals living in there is very mistaken, as I found many gated communities to have a lot of arrests. I found this one to be very interesting because, as you can see, if you were living in a neighborhood like this, would you really be an angry person that broke the law? I mean, look at this. You have a gated community with pools. You have lakes. You have bike paths. You have so many beautiful things. How could you, living in a community this nice, surrounded by woods, nature, end up getting arrested? And the adjacent area of Fort Myers is also very big, large houses. You would think that somebody living in a place like this would have no reason to have to break the law. Then there's this individual. I mean, this guy looks like he has a whole community to himself. I mean, You got a beautiful driveway, giant house with some lakes in the back, a big shop in the back, even more land. Looks like perhaps some of this other land may be theirs as well. There's a little creek back there out through the woods. I mean, literally, perhaps these properties are all related in some way and they have more land. I'm not sure, but it seems like crap. If you're living in a pretty much your own community, I guess, all to yourself, and it's all to yourself, like, how do you end up, if you have that much land, doesn't keep people out of trouble? Like, if I had that much land, I would just be the happiest person in the world. Highway 82 in Lehigh, you can see from Alexander Bell coming all the way back up to Alabama, coming all the way back up to Sunshine, and of course the Triangle. Anything off of 82 in Lehigh, there's like just a line of arrests along here. So we've talked about how most of this area off of 82 is really not attractive. You can see the southern part of the Triangle had 3 arrests. Far east side of Lehigh looks really good. So the whole far side of Lehigh, all this eastern side of Lehigh, and actually the vast majority of northern Lehigh didn't seem too bad, except for from Greenbrier all the way down into Sunshine. It seems like right down the center, like the central part of Lehigh had a few go, but it's cleaned up fairly well. Now along this southern edge is still, it's not bad, but there's a few registered people on this side here. But it's actually not that bad in the Fort Myers shores, and actually nothing north of the river. So the area north of the river seems pretty good. Nothing on Pine Island. There was no arrest on Pine Island at all. And there was no arrest on Sanibel. So Sanibel, Pine Island, seems like the islands are very low crime. No arrest on Fort Myers Beach, even though I did get headbutted by a homeless person right here. I'm not going to say there's no crime going on in this area. I think there's a lot of crime going on there, but for some reason the cops are very reluctant to arrest people in tourist area. Harlem Heights seemed to have a few arrests, and St. Carlos Park, just 1 arrest for St. Carlos Park, not bad. Now, as you guys know, that Pine Manor is a notorious neighborhood. There was 2 arrests in Pine Manor, and on the other side of Pine Manor is an area behind those businesses, and it's all a bunch of duplexes there. I haven't done videos back in there yet, but you can see it's all duplexes. Duplexes are really bad in Southwest Florida. So duplexes all in here, all this is bad right here. You can see there's an arrest here and a bunch of duplexes, and Crime Manor, aka Pine Manor, 2 arrests in there, no surprise. And recently they actually found, a few weeks ago, one of these apartments here. The guy was openly growing, and he turned the apartment into a grow house. Imagine that. Look how densely populated this is. And this guy thought he was going to get away with turning an entire apartment into a grow house in here. So it's very... And actually, I've worked in these apartments. One of the few jobs I did in Fort Myers since I moved back was in here. It's very densely populated. It's very bold to do that and think you're going to get away with it. But that happened. So this is a very high crime area. These apartments in here are very notorious. Mystic Gardens. This is really bad all up through here. So you got Mystic Gardens is horrendous. Pine Manor's pretty bad. All along US 41 here is bad. Back in here you had an arrest. And back over this way, there's actually an arrest. And I was just surprised that, look at this. Like, you're talking about, you got a canal with golf access in one of the most desirable parts of Fort Myers. Like, I can't believe people that live in neighborhoods this nice can actually like end up getting arrested. It seems like if I was living that type of lifestyle, it would be like from the golf course to the boat to the I would not, there wouldn't be space in my life to get arrested if I was living a lifestyle that luxurious. I mean, literally, like, you can literally get out to the river. It just seems crazy that living there you're getting arrested. But anyways, yeah, this part of South Fort Myers, around Pine Manor, Pagefield, lots of crime in that area, and not surprisingly, there were several arrests. Okay, the area around downtown Fort Myers has a lot of arrests. Notice it's all east of US 41. There's no arrests in here. No arrests at all west of US 41. This is all rich, fancy, nice area. So other than that one person here, it seems like this whole area west of US 41 is actually no arrest. But once you get south of downtown, across from the hospital, there's a lot going on in there. Several arrests. And let me note that these were more of the violent arrests that there were. But there was only like one or two. There weren't too many arrests in Tice. There's somebody living here in this house here. This is a really bad neighborhood. In all contexts, it's a bad area. This is Palm Beach Boulevard, where we do a lot of our night drive videos through here. And it's crazy that there was only one arrest right there. This little house right here. You would expect more arrests off of Palm Beach Boulevard, but actually, there's only two arrests during down the whole stretch. But there's more people being arrested south of downtown than there are off of Palm Beach Boulevard. I found that to be a little bit interesting. Bonita Springs did very well. The southern part of Lee County is mostly Bonita Springs. The islands, of course, had no arrests. There was 3 arrests north of downtown in the area known as Rosemary. But the suburban sprawl of Bonita Springs, all of the gated communities, had absolutely no arrest. I will note that there's a massive difference between the gated communities in Bonita Springs and the gated communities in Lehigh Acres. This community here in Lehigh Acres, about 2 weeks ago, had an arrest. So don't think that these gated communities around Ortiz, around Colonial, all these gated communities around Lehigh Acres, they're actually not all that great. So there's a huge difference between the gated communities between Fort Myers and Lehigh Acres to those gated communities in Bonita Springs. The area of Estero also didn't have any arrests. So there it is, guys. That is 100 people that recently got arrested in Lee County, Florida. You can see the area of Fort Myers has the largest concentration, as well as the central part of Lehigh Acres. North Fort Myers, some parts of South Fort Myers, and a few areas in Cape Coral seem really bad. On the bright side, Pine Island, Sanibel, all along the coast seems very safe. Bonita Springs, Estero, and the northwest side of Cape Coral heading towards Burnt Store. These areas have minimal arrest, at least out of the 100 arrest results that we sampled. Buckingham and the east side of Lehigh don't seem that bad as well, and the area north of the river also did fairly well. So this is our small crime experiment, and this is my own statistics. I mean, I just looked at a few arrests that were recent in the last maybe week or two, and I picked out 100 people. There's about 30 people that were missing from this thing, and a lot of those people were homeless. They don't have a registered address. The vast majority of those homeless people are congregated around downtown Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, and that pretty much sums it up. That is what 100 arrests in Southwest Florida look like. And again, a legal disclaimer. We are not assuming that these people are going to be found guilty. Due process, personal opinion disclaimer, and no association disclaimer. This is all public information, and we're going to assume that these people are all innocent as per the law. I would love to be able to do this for Naples, Florida. This is the Collier County website. But for Naples, Florida, there's something that they do not give you the address of the person arrested on the website. They're only going to give you the zip code. Okay, so let's look at these 6 people that are posted for being arrested on Sunday in Collier County, which is the Naples area. This person came from Miami to commit some crimes over here, and they usually are a percentage of the people arrested. This person from Immokalee, Florida was arrested for open container, a very common crime. Open container is a massive percentage of the arrests in Naples. The crimes are very different. So there's a huge difference in what people are being arrested for in Lee County versus Collier County. And I don't think there's any difference at all. I mean, it's the same geography, it's the same demographics. There's so many things in common. But Lee County is looking for one thing, and Collier County is looking for another. So despite these two counties being right next to each other, the charges that people are facing in these counties are very different. pattern of how they target people. But then you have another person in Immokalee who was arrested for disorderly intoxication and impersonation of a Leo. This guy here as well in Immokalee, and he has possession of the white. But I know a lot of people in Naples, so it is definitely interesting. One of the craziest things is I've only looked at about 150 police reports, and I went to school with several of these people. I've seen 3 females that I've gone to school with. All 3 of them, I couldn't believe. Like, I went to school with this girl right here, and I haven't seen her since, but I went to school with this girl, and I mean, she had the H, the C, the A, and the F. I mean, to think that somebody that I went to school with, she's just an year older than me, and she's already had, well, she's been once, twice. Wow, so it's not her first run-in with the law. If you see how many times carrying a concealed, and the A again, A again. Wow, I cannot believe how many times this person's been arrested. Child support, so she's got a baby. That's horrible. Domestic battery. Wow, I mean, this person's been in prison. Not, yeah, probably been in prison, jail many, many times. They're finding a pawnbroker, so it's just crazy to see so many people that I went to school with